Hey everyone, Tony D with a screenwriter's take on South Park, the pandemic special. I can't really show you any of the pandemic special, unfortunately, but it was awesome. South Park is just one of those shows. I think it's unique in this. It's actually gotten better over the years. I just have to hand it to the creators. I can't say enough good things about it. And one of the great things about the South Park universe is it's very consistent. Very consistent. They have gone through great lengths to keep the history of the show consistent over the years. Now, the characters haven't really aged. You know, we went from the third grade to the fourth grade, but that's about it. But to watch the characters over the years evolve the way they have has just been a joy. One of my great joys is watching South Park, and also to know that unlike some of my previous great joys like Family Guy, The Simpsons, that it will never go woke. I think the creators of South Park would rather die than go woke. So the pandemic special, for those of you who haven't watched South Park in many years, you really should watch it now, because one of the things they started doing, I guess it was about 3 or 4 seasons back, they started doing seasons where the episodes tied into one another. So there's an amazing season with Cartman Gets a Girlfriend, and you follow their relationship through the episodes. So the arc, that each individual episode has sort of the normal character arcs you'd expect, but then the overall season followed their relationship kind of from beginning to end, and it was amazing. It was just flat out amazing. But this was different in that it was the pandemic special. It was an hour-long episode of South Park. I guess it was an hour. It was the running time. I watched it on the South Park Studios, where you could watch pretty much all the episodes. I believe every single episode for free. You can't watch it when it airs. It only airs, on Comedy Central and I think HBO Max and Hulu. It was on Hulu for a while. But, on South Park Studios, they eventually post it. So, yeah, just do a South Park search and you'll find it. So it starts with the pandemic and how it affected South Park, which we haven't seen, I don't think, because the season ended. Yeah, the season ended before the virus. So, of course, the South Park Studios people, who I think are based in, if I'm not mistaken, they're based in L.A. too, or in the L.A. region. They're probably impacted by it, and, their governors shut down the state off and on, and, just in general, there's a huge lag. So they probably just, couldn't really do much. And I've heard in interviews that they can get out an episode in like a week. But they decided to do this episode, and it's great because you see how the beer virus impacted South Park. You can see Randy there with his mask. And for those of you who haven't seen the show in years, one of the developments is Randy, Stan's dad, has become one of the major characters in the show. He's a little bit like Homer now, in that he's sort of the crazy character that kind of evolved into one of the main guys on the show now. Before, like, Stan's dad would sort of get involved. Like, there's the World of Warcraft episode, which was really about the kids mostly, but then at the end, Randy had to save the day, and it's just, and then there's, of course, the famous episode where it turns out Randy is actually Lord. But Randy started, he began as a geologist, but when weed was legalized in Colorado, he became a weed farmer. And he runs Tegrity Farms, which is outside of South Park, because you got to have integrity. And he's been about 2 or 3 seasons. He's just consumed the show because he's been just so funny as as the guy who's selling weed. So he decides he's got to do a pandemic special, which is like a weed special, and and make more money. And one of the running gags is his wife Sharon thought it was a dumb idea to start a weed farm, and Randy's just making all kinds of money. So he just like, in your face, Sharon, in your face. Well, last season, Randy had to go to China. I forget why, but and he ended up going there with Mickey Mouse, who is a character on the show, and Mickey runs Disney Studios. So he ends up. They decide that they're in the beginning of the pandemic, of course, they tied it into a bat. So Randy remembers, and I don't want to give it away, but he remembers his trip to China, and basically Randy convinces himself he may have started the virus. And it's such an outrageous scene. I don't want to give it away. You really got to watch the show. And so it's mostly about Randy trying to cover up his potential cause for the beer virus. At the same time, the kids are in isolation, and they have to deal with that, and they're not dealing with it well. Cartman loves the isolation and wants to continue, so he doesn't have to go to school, but the other kids want the isolation to end. It touched upon just about everything you can imagine for the beer virus, and how ridiculous it's becoming. And but beyond that, I don't want to give away too much. But it had a slightly longer arc than an episode, since it was an hour long, really like 47 minutes runtime. And so the first act is the setup, all the characters, and Randy's problem is the beer virus. He may have caused it. And then the second act is, it gets worse, because it turns out what he thought caused the virus wasn't the right one, and then it's really something even worse. And then the third one is Randy attempting to cure the virus, which is very funny because it ties into the first two, which I can't tell you without giving it away. One of the things about great comedy is it's really a surprise. So I hope nothing I've said in my rambling generalities have ruined it for you, but really you got to say it. So it's got a hilarious ending. It all ties in, just like it always does. And the guys in South Park understand comedy. You got to heighten, no matter how ridiculous it sounds. And the characters aren't ridiculous. They think they're serious. Randy is seriously in trouble and seriously trying to do stuff throughout the entire episode. Cartman seriously doesn't want to go to school. And all the characters are acting consistently with everything that's gone before. Everything that's gone before has been 100% consistent. The only thing that's really different is some of the animation is much better now. Like when they do Randy now, he's not just a cardboard cutout. Like sometimes he takes off his shirt and you can see his gut, and there's a lot more detail to the characters than there was in the past, and yet they still look the same. Randy's there's an iconic look to Randy that also happens to somebody else in the episode, but I don't want to give it away. And it's very funny. So that iconic look is repeated, and it's very simple. And if you go back and look at the old episodes, Randy looks exactly the same, but in the newer episodes he changes clothes more, and he's got a little more movement to him, and there's just a little more detail. And stuff like the bit with Kenny, that's in there, and again, it's just that consistency and the detail. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but the aliens. You remember the aliens from the very early South Park episodes. They still appear in the episodes. They hide an alien in every single episode. Like, just in a very, they're barely visible sometimes. And you could go to the South Park room on Reddit, and people will have freezes, and oh, look, I was watching episode such and such, and here's the alien. So that's like a fun thing fans can do. You can literally watch every single episode and look for the alien. Even though the episode will have nothing to do with aliens, but, the visitors are always there. So I can't say enough glowing, wonderful things about South Park. It's really just the perfect show, unless you're, some kind of prude that doesn't like vulgar humor. It can get vulgar at times, but they don't let anybody slip past them. Everybody's an equal opportunity target for them. And they're very devoted to their comedy. It's about the comedy. It's not about attacking people. It's about the comedy and pointing out the hypocrisy in people. And for that, I admire them greatly. So watch the South Park special, or Pandemic special on South Park. You can watch all the episodes at southparkstudios.com and do that.